Hello, mate. How you doing?
All good.
You know what we start with, don't you? We always start with something.
Oh, what quiz time? Is this now a thing? Is it?
It's so much a thing. One day you can set me a quiz, but I just love watching you squirm. I'm not going to
Go for
lie.
it. Go for it. What have you got for me this week?
All right, it's kind of topical, but the quiz question is this: Can you name the starting 11 of Oxford United in Chris Wilder's first game in charge? I'm going to give you a slight clue in that
Yeah.
I'll give you the date,
Okay.
which was the Boxing Day. It was Boxing Day of 2008. I tested this on a few other people. The pass score is 6. If you can get 6,
Really?
that is
That's the par six. I was
par
hoping if
is
I got
6.
I was hoping if I got to 3, I would be happy. So
Have a
okay.
think as you go through
All
it.
right.
I gave it to Theo the other day, and he came up with the wildest 11 you've ever seen in your life. Just wouldn't have been possible. 2 goalkeepers. So I'm starting to question his stat
The
credentials.
wildest wild 11. Okay. This is possibly the toughest one you've sent me so far. We're deep in conference non-league territory, but I'm prepared to give it a go. What have I got? About 45 minutes to think, and yeah, let's see where we get to.
Nice one. Shall we run the sting?
Let's do it.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.
Well, welcome to episode 7 of You Are My Oxford. In this episode, we're going to talk about recent results, look ahead to upcoming games, hark back to the very first game at the Kassam. We'll discuss whether the fixture computer is potentially responsible for our current predicament. And also this week, we've got a little hot take about Chris Wilder.
Truly, Matt, a bumper pod.
Bumper indeed. Firstly, a bit of an apology, a bit of housekeeping, and just to say sorry for the slight gap between episodes. We're blaming Dan very much for this one, and you've been away working, or so you call it, working, Dan.
It was really hard work. I was actually in, Matt, get this. I was in Indonesia, and I did take an Oxford United shirt along with me. And I did actually take it to the office where I was working. And somebody did come up to me and say, Oxford United. So honestly, our influence is spreading. Well, not ours, but the club's. Yeah.
All right, question for you. Did you see another Oxford United shirt, or was yours still the only one?
I didn't see an Oxford United shirt. I saw an Oxford United player. I saw Marselino's massive poster on the side of a shopping centre, an enormous, kind of, I don't know, 50 times scale poster of him on the side of a shopping centre. He's massive.
Of course, we've had the Indonesia game. Speaking of Marselino, were you there at the same time?
I was there for one of them. Yeah, I was the one they got absolutely thrashed by Australia. They lost 5-1. But Ola, as we're calling him now, Ola. It's got an absolute beauty of a goal in it. And I have to admit, it's just kind of surreal watching on TV an Oxford United player scoring a goal for Indonesia against Australia. It's just one of those moments where you look at yourself and say, is this real? But yeah, it all happened.
Okay, so that's the reason we haven't recorded a pod for a little bit, for a little while. But the last one we recorded, of course, was just before the whole game. We were feeling very confident, weren't we, Dan? You were there. How was it?
I was there. Yeah, it wasn't great. I was actually in the home end. Bizarre. I've got, as we discussed in the last episode, I've got lots of friends who are from Hull, and it's a nice chance to catch up with them. So I did sit with them in the home end. They thought we were really unlucky to lose. They thought at the very least we deserved a point, which I probably agree with. They also thought we could easily have nicked it, which I think probably wouldn't have been totally unfair. What happened? We went 1-0 up. We kind of then let 2 really soft goals in, which was ridiculous. Then we hit the bar with that amazing dipping volley. Honestly, Matt, we were probably the better team, and that really, really, really pisses me off because there have been quite a few games this year where we actually have been the better team against teams down there around us, and we've either just let them off the hook or whatever. And yet again, 3 points has slipped away, 1 point has slipped away, and we've come away from Hull, a game we really could have got something from. with nothing, and it's kind of worrying. I'm feeling a bit sick in the stomach at the minute about our form generally.
But also, it's that one, isn't it, when you've taken the lead as well, and how it just can very quickly crumble after that. And it's weird that it's almost it takes that to happen for then the opposing side to almost get the confidence to then go on and beat us, which worries me a bit. And we haven't, speaking over recent months about, we are a side made in Gary Rowett's kind of, model, but then we kind of crumble when we take the lead, which is a bit worrying. But there has been some high points since we last spoke, and I guess we're talking, of course, about the Watford game.
The Watford game, which I was actually in Heathrow Airport, going through customs and stuff while it was all happening. I literally put my bag into the scanny thing, and it came out the other side. I picked up my phone, and we were 1-0 up. So I was.
Love that.
So it must have been the lucky scanner.
Yeah, I wasn't there either. It was my wife's birthday. And not to sound like a fair weather fan, because I'm going to pretty much every game for the rest of the season, or plan to. Don't tell my wife. But it was my wife's birthday, so I thought I'd give her that one. And
you should have taken her, Matt. I should have loved it. What a birthday!
But there was something great about it, and actually, just as the goal went in, I just jumped in the car with wife and child and made them listen to the final stages of the game. And it was just, fantastic to obviously get the goal and then to hang on. Speaking of not hanging on, to then hang on. And I think it was one of those when we saw Dembele in the lineup, and maybe a few people have been saying this for a while, it's like, we need goals, we need assists, we need you to be a game changer. And he proved he's got that in his locker, which was nice.
It was a lovely goal. It was a lovely goal. Lovely to sit down in the waiting room at Heathrow and watch the goal back.
So that's good. And then, I guess we go into the Borough one, especially after what happened kind of earlier in the season with a bit of doom and gloom. But then what transpired over certainly the first kind of 60 or 70 minutes, then put yourself in a kind of really optimistic mood, thinking, right, we can get something from this. And then it just kind of ended in real kind of disappointment. And you go away thinking, well, that was a couple of points dropped.
Yeah, I was kind of semi-listening to it. I'd arrived back massively jet-lagged and was literally kind of semi-conscious, trying to stay awake, but kept falling asleep. In the first half, from what I was hearing, we were kind of all over them, really.
Yeah.
Well, not as much as all over them as we ever are with anyone.
Yeah.
There's a hint of us being all over them. And then we went 1-0 up, and we were thinking, oh, surely can we do this? And then obviously we can't. Second half just seemed like a massive disappointment.
Yeah. Just two things I want to pick up on is, I mean, Helik is like a goal-scoring centre-back, obviously, but also I think a theme that is going to develop and has kind of gradually developed throughout the season, but is going to develop particularly in the last, 7 games, is Oxford United as the long throw-in specialists, and how you feel about that.
Do you know what? I've always kind of wanted us to be that, right? It's just like, if we became like a total set-piece team, I'd be happy with that as well. It's like, this is a part of the game. We might as well be good at it. And if we've got somebody who can hurl the ball like 800 metres into the penalty area from pretty much any time zone, you can land it in the penalty area.
It's quite nice having that excitement every 10 minutes or so, isn't it? Kind of, we got to throw in. But it puts the fear of God into opposing defences for some reason.
Well, I guess you just got this Exocet missile being launched at you, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, we can't concede to this, surely. And then it flies into the area, and there's just a massive kind of scrum of bodies. So, I mean, it's not beautiful football, but honestly, it's just about our only attacking ploy at the moment. So I am all here for it.
Yeah, and then just the final thing to speak about is a lot of Oxford fans speaking about a penalty. Should it have been a penalty? What are your thoughts, Dan, having watched it?
I watched it again just before we came on air live, Matt. Just before we came on air live, I took a watch of it, and it looked every bit a penalty as it did when I watched the highlights back on Sunday morning. So I thought it was a penalty. I do think it's a penalty, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it just seems ridiculous we haven't had a penalty this year. And I do get it.
Well,
we haven't been attacking a lot. It's not like we've been kind of, constantly in the opposition area. But to have no penalties this stage into the season,
I mean, but is there something in that? Is there something in that about being a promoted side, going to these bigger grounds? I don't know. And I mean, I'm just thinking over the course of the season, because also we've got quick players up top. We've got, wingers who get around the back of defenders. I'm surprised we haven't had one penalty this year.
This is what we're going to ask Theo to do in the next episode. We'll get him to work out the odds of not having a penalty for a whole season. If we get him to do that, then we're guaranteed to get a penalty, right? We're guaranteed to get. Once he's done all his research, then we'll just get a penalty and it'll be fine. And it'll ruin all his research. I think, I mean, it's just ridiculous we haven't had one.
Has it happened before?
I asked the club historian, Martin Brodetsky, who is, anyone who knows Martin, lovely guy, not the most kind of thorough of statisticians and historical data keepers. He's got absolutely no idea whether we've had one or not. He said you could look it up if you want. I said, how would I do that? He said, you just have to watch every goal from every season, read every single match report. And I was like, I don't think it's going to happen, Martin.
Maybe that's a call out for any listeners. Get a bit of a listener interaction. Any listeners who know, let us know if you know about penalties. You could, of course, just make it up because no one will ever know, not even the club historian. So let us know.
Yeah, let us know. You are myoxford@gmail.com or on our many socials that Matt is really looking after so well. Aren't you,
Yeah,
Matt?
I'm doing well on that. Must do better.
Matt, you know that I love an ill-researched theory. So hear me out on this one. I reckon we've been stitched up this season, not by referees, but by the fixture computer.
Okay. Go on, you're going to have to explain more.
I think it's fair to say we started this season with a relatively easy run of games. Then we had a horror run of fixtures that ended up costing Dez's job and so on and so on. Then Gary came in. Then we had that kind of easy run of fixtures in January. And some people, Matt, honestly get this. Some people were even talking about the playoffs at this point.
Fools! Why would they ever say such a ridiculous thing? No, mentioning no names.
Imagine. So here's my theory, Matt. I reckon we'd have been much better off with an even spread of winnable games throughout the season, rather than having in two blocks of kind of winnable games. Yeah. If they'd been every 3 or 4 games, we'd had one that we could win. I reckon we'd have been better off, and we wouldn't have sacked Des, and we wouldn't have got into these deathly spirals of defeat that we seem to get stuck into.
Okay, I think I'm still just about with you, but what is your actual point?
I don't know what my point is, Matt. I just think the fixture computer has stitched us. Adding to this conspiracy, the referee's not giving us penalties. I also think the fixture computer at the start of the season has stitched us up good and proper.
Imagine if there was a way we could work this out and speak to someone who knew all about this kind of thing and who loves statistics.
It's really funny you should say that, Matt, because in the kitchen, we've got our very own stat man. Theo, what do you reckon? Have we been totally stitched up by the fixture computer, or has it just been we're a streaky team?
Well, to kind of get to the bottom of this, I think we can split the season up into 4 bits: the good bit under Des, the bad bit under Des, the good bit under Rowett, and the bad bit under Rowett, and just see if those collections of games were against considerably weaker teams or stronger teams, and just to kind of get a picture of whether it's streaky or it was just a run of easier games. If we take Norwich at home, first game of the season, up to, I'm calling the bad run under Des starting at West Brom at home, which is a bit harsh because that's a good point. But I think that's when it started to tilt a little bit. The Pompey away was quite a good point, the 1-1 there. West Brom, it was another good point, but then we hit Derby and Sunderland and Swansea and a couple of poorer results. So from that Norwich to Portsmouth game, we did pretty well, picked up some good points, and the average points per game over the whole season of the teams we played in that run was 1.35. And then the rest of Des's run until he got sacked, those 16 games with only one win, it did increase slightly with the PPG over the course. This is the whole season because I've not got the time to work it out. It's kind of like in the terms of the form at the time. But so 1.35 in the good run versus 1.44 points per game in the poor run. So actually not that much difference. So not really pointing towards the fixture list much there. More maybe teams worked out Des a little bit, and we started to struggle to pick up points. Under Rowett, it's a bit different. The good run under Rowett, which we can say is Cardiff at home the first game until Bristol City, maybe, although we didn't do great in that Bristol City game, but I've called it Cardiff to Bristol City. And in that time, the points per game return of our opponents is 1.13. So that is pretty low. It would get you 18th in the division if you got 1.13 points up to this point of the season. And since then, we've been playing against teams that get returning a much better points per game at 1.38. But I think the kind of clearer pattern under both Des and Rowett, and this has been talked about quite a bit across social media and other kind of podcasts, is that we are very good against bottom half teams at home with wins, and we tend to draw against those bottom half teams away, and then we tend to get the odd point away from home against top half teams, and tend to always lose against top half teams away from home. And that trend has been the case through Des, through Gary Rowett, regardless of whether it's been a kind of collection of games that have been easier or harder. That trend has sort of really held firm. Now, the one thing that we can sort of maybe touch on is whether we had to kind of finalize the conversation about streaky or kind of just consistently doing the same thing, is to think, maybe ask like when we had games against teams that were under good form or on bad form. So can you think of any like games that really stand out that we hit a team at a good time to play against them?
I think we played Hull at home when they were literally on their knees. They looked like the worst team in the whole world. And I remember their form being absolutely terrible going into that game.
They were pretty frustrated with their manager at that time as well.
Yeah, they were. So the fans were like really booing their own players and manager at the time. I seem to remember we played QPR at a bad time because they'd been absolutely terrible all season. And then they won a couple of games in a row before we played them, I think. So suddenly their form had changed. And then, it was a dreadful game again. And we were truly diabolical that day. So,
whoever you're playing against, if you play that badly, you're not going to win. I've picked out 4 games that I think we played at teams at a good time, which is Norwich at home, first game of the season. Coventry away, even though we lost, that was probably a good time to play. And in hindsight, maybe we should have got something. Well, without Will Volk's back pass, we would have got a point. I think we played Millwall away at a good time, and I think we played Watford at home at a good time. Apart from that, I couldn't really pick out loads where we were kind of fortunate to play teams at that point. In terms of bad times to play teams, I've also picked out 4, which again is sort of suggesting that it's there's less of a fixture list impact on how our season's gone. I think we played Derby away. I would think if we played them in, let's say, the middle of January away from home, we might have Derby at home, that should be. I think we played them in the middle of January, might have got a better result against them. Swansea at home and Millwall at home in sort of autumn under the kind of back end of Des's reign. I think that was a really tough time to play both of them. And if we played them at home in the second half of the season, I think we'd have liked to think we'd picked up points. And then the QPR one that you mentioned. But the fixture list has, I think, given us 4 of each. 4 where we've hit a team at good form, 4 where we've hit the bad form. And sort of balanced it out. So again, not really pointing towards fixture list impacting the trend of our season too much.
So my theory basically is bollocks. What's it mean for the rest of the season then?
So if we take the points per game, it takes the points per game of the teams that we've got left. It is 1.53, which sounds awful, but that is massively skewed by the fact that 3 of them are Leeds, Sunderland and Sheffield United. If we just take Leeds and Sheffield United out of that equation, it drops down to 1.3, which is a team about 14th in the league on average. So that is hopefully fairly good news, assuming that the Leeds and Sunderland, Sheffield United games are much tougher. if, which is probably the more important trend, we continue picking up the odd point at home to top half teams, odd point away at bottom half teams, and beating bottom half teams at home, I'm giving us a chance of a point at somewhere in the Sunderland, Leeds, and Sheffield United games. I'll give us 1. I'm going to say we beat QPR and then draws at Sheffield United, Cardiff, and Swansea to give us an extra 7 points, and 49, which may be enough. We don't know. It's going to be tight. Looking at the other teams, I think this might also come into. I've not gone into their run-in details because it's. But one thing that might be worth noting is that Stoke, Hull, and Cardiff have one less home game than away game, and we know that the bottom half teams in the Champ really struggle to pick up anything away from home. Looking at the teams that we could drag back into it, the Swansea and QPR have had a bit of a poor run, but Swansea have still got home games against Derby, Plymouth, Hull, and us. And considering they're already on 45, you'd feel it'd be a miracle if they can't pick up enough points from those 4 games alone to take them out of any bother. QPR, though, are an interesting one. They've got Cardiff at home and then us away next week. Then they play Bristol City, Preston, Swansea, and they finish with Burnley and Sunderland as their final 2 games. So they need to get their act together, or they could easily be dragged into it, especially if they don't pick up points against Cardiff and then against us.
So I've got this one lovely theory. It's a positive thing to finish with. We play Swansea on the last day of the season. Let's say they're safe. By the sounds of it, by the sounds of what you're saying, they are going to be safe. If we need to beat them for us to stay up, to send Cardiff down, surely it's in Swansea's interest to want to relegate Cardiff.
You imagine we'd have the whole of their fan base on our side if that was the scenario.
And they'll so put the kids out. They'll be like,
I mean, if that's the scenario. And I think there's a couple of teams at the bottom playing each other. I think it's Derby and Stoke are playing each other on that last day of the season. So there could be a couple of permutations that sort of work in our favour, because Derby and Stoke obviously then won't both be able to pick up 3 points. So let's hold on to that. Let's hold on to the kind of the general trend of points that we're picking up that should get us 7 or 8 more, hopefully. And let's get ourselves to the end of this season above the dotted line.
Matt, we don't just love a stat in this podcast. We love a bit of nostalgia too. Every week we take a look back at a moment or a time or a game. It's your turn this week. Hit me with it.
I want to talk about a moment in time. And it was that moment when we, as a football club, moved to the Kassam Stadium for the very first time. Now, I know there was a couple of pre-season games, I think, which a few people went to, and everyone was excited about that. But the first time I went was the first competitive game, which was against Rochdale. And we won't speak about the match for the moment because I can't tell you how excited I was before a football match. I was so kind of just intrigued about what I would come across. I think before the game, I think I'd driven past it a couple of times, but everything was new ahead of that game. And what I mean by that was I'd just been so used to going to, obviously travelling to Headington, having my routine of whether I drove with my dad and we parked in a specific place near the John Radcliffe and kind of walked up the back way into Headington. And we had our place where we go and get fish and chips, and we'd have a place where my dad might go and have a pint and all this kind of thing. And then suddenly we had this new ground, and it was on the side of town, which I didn't know very well. And so I was just excited about starting these new routines and finding these new places to kind of eat and these new places to drink and finding my favourite place in the stadium. And I remember almost mapping out and planning out the journey to my first game, which was going to be this Rochdale. I remember parking in Sanford and thinking, right, we'll go for the pint at the pub there, which I forget what it's called now. And then we'll walk down from there. What was it? Yeah, that was it.
Catherine Wheel, yeah. Still there, I think.
Is it still there? And parking there. And then I remember walking down from there and going, oh, this is a bit weird and doesn't quite feel right because I'm walking a bit on the road and then a bit on pavement and it's a bit soulless around here. And then got into the ground. I remember thinking, it's not great, is it? And then there's not a full stand yet, but we'll work with that. But I think there's just been so much anticipation to that moment. And obviously we kind of, as a team, kind of fallen down a bit, to say the least. I think that was our first season back in the 4th tier, if I'm not mistaken.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. But, again, ever the optimist, thinking, okay, well, we'll bounce straight back up. And now we've got this ground. It's going to kind of be our platform to build to greater things. And I remember just going into the ground and just from the very off, just feeling this doesn't feel quite right, and nothing felt, too great about it. And then if we go on into the match, and I think, Dan, you might have some footage here, which is just incredible. So, you're looking at these pictures now, and apologies if this is just audio, but there was so much anticipation ahead of this game. And did we take the lead in it? There he is. We didn't. No. Yeah, we had chances, but I think there's a lot of excitement. That this is the first time that we're attacking towards the car park end. And obviously Rochdale came and they kind of did a number on us, and we lost 2-1. And I think it was in that moment I thought two things. I thought, oh, I'm a bit worried about this team, and if we get relegated again, and then that's down into the conference, that's really worrying. But also, B, that actually this stadium, when you'd seen, other clubs. Oh, there's the goal from Brooks. A lob. He used to love a lob back then, didn't he? From just the edge of the area. I don't know. It was just like his trademark goal, wasn't it? He always used to just off the edge. So yeah, we went 1-1, lost 2-1. But it was also this feeling that other clubs have moved to new grounds, and the new grounds are a lot better than our new grounds. And I just remember feeling a bit underwhelmed. It was, as I say, it was on the other side of town, so it was just a bit of an effort for me to get to. And yeah, I just in that moment I really felt like on the day of my party, someone had just come up and kind of popped my balloon. Now, having said that, all these years on, I kind of love our ground in a kind of weird kind of way. Like, could it be better? Of course it could. But, I've over the years, I've learned to love it. But I remember in that moment just feeling very deflated about generally being an Oxford United fan that day.
I must admit, I don't remember much about that day at all for some reason. Like, I'm sure I must have felt your excitement and so on. My first real memory of that ground was a few weeks later. We played against Shrewsbury. Now, in the morning, I was organising the fans' football team, and we played against the Shrewsbury fans. I think it's the first match we actually played as Raging Fever, we were called, named after the two fanzines, Raging Bull and Yellow Fever. So we played a game. It's the first ever game we played. We played, God, I can't remember, on the plastic pitch somewhere. It was a boiling hot day. I remember it being boiling hot. And I'd run around like a blue-ass fly, because I could in those days. And absolutely knackered. And then after the game, went and had a few pints, and then went up to the ground. And obviously it wasn't the first time I'd been at the ground, but I was just already thoroughly underwhelmed by the whole thing. And it was pretty clear we had a crap team. It was pretty clear we had a crap ground. And I just remember actually falling asleep during the game. We lost 1-0. We lost 1-0 to Shrewsbury. And I was actually sitting upright, and I fell asleep during the game. And that has never, ever happened to me before or since. But I think it just summed up that kind of the whole feeling of just nothingness about the club. It really was a very, very nothing time.
A bit of a nothing time. And I think that, the atmosphere is pretty good these days, but that took a while to develop as well, because obviously the Manor was so great with its atmosphere. So, but yeah, so that's where we are. And listen, I don't like to be a downer on our stadium. And obviously, there's lots of conversations currently going on about our future stadium. And it seems ever since I first started supporting Oxford United, there's always been conversations about the stadium. So it's probably our thing. But yeah, just thought interesting to delve into that day all those years ago.
If anybody wants to watch the footage that Matt and I have just been watching on the screen, you can obviously watch it on our YouTube recording, this one, or I've actually managed to dig out the whole recording of the match from, that's not the whole match, but it's like an extended highlights package from good old-fashioned ITV Digital, if anyone remembers them. And I've put that on our YouTube channel, which is You Are My Oxford on YouTube. So have a look. if you want to be reminded about that disappointing day in the disappointing new ground. It's hot take time, and this has been sent in by Rob Musket from Kent, and it's topical ahead of the Chris Wilder derby this weekend. Rob, as you'll discover, is a huge fan of Chris Wilder. Here's his hot take.
I don't really think this is a hot take. This is a pretty obvious take, because I think Chris Wilder has been our best manager since I started supporting Oxford, which was in 1987. So just after Jim Smith, who is obviously one of our probably the greatest manager we've ever had. But looking at all the managers we've had since then, I think Chris Wilder has been the best, and I don't think he gets the respect he deserves from Oxford fans like Dan, who was very pleased when he left us. Should have gone ages before, and kind of refuses to really acknowledge that it was a mistake that he walked out, really. So when he took us over, we were 13th. The end of that season, we were 7th. We would have been 5th. We would have been in the playoffs, and I really believe we would have been promoted given the run we were on. Season after, promoting at Wembley, one of my favourite ever days of supporting Oxford. To see 33,000 yellows at Wembley, taking us back into the Football League. To me, the man will always be a legend, regardless of anything else he's ever done in his career, for doing that, really. And he just had turned us around, and I think we should look back on his time very, very fondly indeed. And yeah, Dan, I think one of probably the greatest manager that we've had in my time of supporting them, and hopefully you will come around to that view at some point as well.
So Rob and I almost came to blows many times during the last couple of seasons of Wilder, which I remember just being turgid, like really turgid. I will be forever grateful to Chris Wilder for getting us out of the godforsaken conference, and I don't think anyone was better placed than him to do it. I think he was the perfect man at the perfect time for the job required. I think he did it pretty well. But a couple of seasons after that, we were absolutely going nowhere. Now, I know that he's gone on to do great things, Matt. I really do know he's gone on to do great things. But I think he had to go at the time. We didn't sack him anyway. He left of his own accord. So it's not like we did sack him. But I was calling for his head. I don't mind telling you. Where were you on him? What did you think about him?
I agree with Rob insofar as I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves from a section of Oxford United fans. And I think I knew we had something special, and I always thought he would go on to manage at a higher level. And to be honest, for a time, I wanderlusted whether that might be with us. Where I agree with you is that things had got kind of a bit stale, and there was that you wondered, like, if almost he had a point to prove against Oxford fans, like he didn't feel like he was, I don't know, respected enough or something like that. I wonder if he almost fell out of love with the job as much as Oxford fans maybe fell out of love with him a bit.
I think that's really fair. I think that's a really fair thing to say. I just think, I think all managers have a shelf life, right? They do have a shelf life. The players will want to hear something fresh. The manager probably just needs a little break from the game as well sometimes to get some new, fresh ideas. If you're caught in the kind of hamster wheel of just, training and everything day after day after day after, it's really difficult to come up with anything fresh and new. My other gripe with him, and this was totally true of pretty much every season that he was with us, he loved messing up a team. So build a really good team at the start of the season, and then he just loved changing it. He loved bringing in a new signing. Like the year we went up from the conference, we were absolutely the best team in the universe up until Christmas. And then he just started doing totally crazy things. Like, let's get rid of Matt Green and bring in bloody Franny Green, right? And Sodji and all these kind of weird players suddenly started appearing. And we had this formula that was working. And they'd just be like, oh, no, I want to bring in new players for whatever reason, right? And it was only when he went back to the team that he picked at the start of the season that we got promoted, right? Because we were literally going to fall out of the playoffs otherwise. So, I respect him. I don't love him like Rob does. That's
the question is, when he left, kind of what happened and where did we go to? And obviously we had the Waddock era.
Oh my God, yeah. True, but if we hadn't had Waddock, we might not have had Appleton.
Yeah.
And if we hadn't had Appleton, we wouldn't have had the 2015-16 team. And I mean, we'll definitely do an episode about that one day, because that is my favourite ever Oxford team. Genuinely, I reckon probably the best Oxford team ever.
Strong players in that side.
That team would beat our current team.
You
Easy.
reckon?
Of course it would. Like with Ruth and like Sercombe and Lundstrom and Baldock and absolute play us off the park, right?
Of course, we're talking about Mr. Wilder because this weekend we do a take on, and I think it's fair to call them high-flying Sheffield United. We've probably got to get at least one unexpected result against a team who are flying high if we are to stay up. We've not had a kind of good run against the best teams. And I don't know, to me, it almost feels like we go into them feeling like we are going to lose. But do we stand any chance this weekend? I guess we're at home, which is kind of good.
We just never seem to beat Sheffield United. Don't we seem to play them every year in the Cup, like for years and years and years? We seem to get them every year. And we never beat them. And we obviously got, absolutely dicked at their place earlier on this season. I mean, I can't see it, Matt. I'm not going to lie. But you never know, I guess.
I think there is at the moment a bit of an inferiority complex against some of those bigger sides. But should we? I mean, obviously, it's the start of 3 games in 7-8 days, whatever you want to call it. Should we chat a bit about predictions for the next week or so?
Go on then.
So, I mean, Sheffield United, I think it sounds like we're both writing off. And then we go into QPR, which on the face of it, Dan?
So on the face of it, Matt, I mean, it's probably the one team in the run-in who have got not that much to play for, although I know Theo thinks a bit differently. Looking at our remaining fixtures, it's the one I feel most confident about us getting 3 points from. But I also think probably there's so much pressure on us now to get 3 points from that game that adds extra pressure to it already. So, I don't know, Matt.
Like you say, it's potentially our only game against a team who are, should we call, on the beach, but it's one we have to win, and there's kind of no getting away from that. Will we have time to do another pod before Sheffield Wednesday, or should we talk about that now?
I was thinking we might, because we're going to Sheffield Wednesday together, aren't we?
We are actually, yeah. Could we record it on the train, Dan, or would that be ridiculous?
It has a quick turnaround, that. And not much
I love
time.
the way we're having editorial meetings during the podcast.
I think we probably won't end up doing that, just because it'll just get out of date before we've even published it.
Out of day and out of hand, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. I know I've seen what you're like on the train. You love a beer on the train, didn't you? You love a beer.
I'm excited about it already. Okay, so what we're saying, let's do a final little wrap up on this and a little prediction. 2 games. How many points are we getting from those 2 games?
Oh, fuck it, 6, Matt.
God, I thought I was going to be the one who is really half glass full, and I was going to say 4, but you've gone 6. Wow.
I've gone 6. And we might get an extra bonus point just for the surprise factor. They'll give us like results of the week. They'll give us an extra point. I think then we're mathematically safe. So
imagine if that was a thing.
Let's hope so anyway. All right, Matt, we are nearly done. There's one thing we haven't done, of course, and I know you've been thinking about this a lot.
Well, I have been thinking about it a lot, whilst also trying to talk to you over the last half an hour. And I've written a few names down in front of me. So go on, if you just want to tee it up again and remind everyone.
All right. The question was, can you name the starting 11 from Chris Wilder's first game in charge, which was... in fact, I'm going to give you a bonus point if you can tell me who it was against, first of all.
Well, that is pretty much impossible. So I'm just going to have to guess.
Think cathedrals.
Cathedrals.
Poisoned people from Russian spies.
Salisbury.
We lost 2-1 at Salisbury in Chris Wilder's first game in charge.
Reminds you how dark it got. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how well I've done here because I was just kind of writing down players from our kind of conference era. So let's see how we go. But for some reason, the first one that I wrote down was Turley. Billy
Correct.
Turley. No way. All right, we're off the mark.
You're off the mark.
But then, again, in no particular order, Constable.
I think it's a 4-4-2 he's played, I think.
Constable,
correct. Not in defence,
wow.
but yeah.
Okay. And then my brain went to Carruthers.
Good guess, but no, incorrect.
No. And then I've put down, I'm not sure if this is right, but then I put Yemi down.
Substitute. He came on.
Okay, then I've written 3 more down, so let's see how we go with this.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Quinn.
Incorrect.
Sam Deering.
Correct. He scored. I think he also broke his leg that day.
Ooh. And then Wilmot.
Bloody hell, great one.
How many did I get?
So you got Turley, you got Wilmot, you got Deering, you got Constable. Any others?
Quinn.
Yeah, they didn't get Quinn's not in it. Do you want to, let me give you some clues.
Wilmot, Carruthers, Yemi, Constable.
One of them was vaguely connected to Jamie Vardy.
What, because they played at Fleetwood together?
No.
Oh.
Well, Jamie Vardy's wife, he was very connected to.
Oh, God, I don't know.
Luke Foster.
Oh, right, okay.
Who was going...
Go on then, name the team, play everyone out there.
I've got it here for you. Hold on, let me get it up. Here is that team. So we got Turley, Joe Burnell, which I'll never have got in a million years, Chris Wilmot, Luke Foster, Matt Day, Sam Deering, Adam Murray, Phil Traynor, Lewis Haldane, Jamie Guy, and James Constable.
Yeah, maybe a couple of others I should have got there. Haldane, maybe, yeah. Okay, I'm. You know what? To be perfectly honest, I got how many did I get in the end? 4.
So below par.
4 plus a sub. I'll take that.
Yeah, not bad. Do you want to do the quiz next time, Matt?
Can do.
I feel like I'm always putting you on the spot. So
yeah, but maybe that was our thing. But no, it's fine. I'll do it.
Let's not fall out over it. So, are you going on Saturday?
I 100% am.
Can I get a lift?
Maybe. To be discussed, not on the podcast. But yeah, I'm going to all 3 games over the next week. So I'm really excited. After having a bit of a fallow period of going to games, I'm going to 3 in 8 days. So very much looking forward to that.
And I'm going to all 3 as well. If you see us at any of the games, come and say hello. Tell us what you think about the podcast. Reassure us that we've got some listeners out there. The stats are going up, Matt. I can tell you they are going up slowly. A bit like our kind of points tally. They're creeping up occasionally.
Great.
If only we could get the socials done, huh?
Yeah, I know. Maybe you can teach me how to do the socials. In fact, maybe that's a job. Yeah, let's do. In fact, let's do it.
I'll teach you how to do it on the train.
Let's do it during the trip up to Sheffield.
Lovely. All right, mate. Lovely seeing you. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.